American Medical Association declares moratorium on morbidly obese and other problematic terms. They haven't declared a moratorium on actually being morbidly obese. They're not actually, it seems, really, frankly, very interested in that. It's the terms. And, this piece goes on and shows more things. Zach, may I have my screen back? Thank you. It continues in the standard woke way of not allowing doctors to use terms that are actually important and useful in describing characteristics of people. But as we've talked about several times before here on DarkHorse, obesity is one of the primary comorbidities for COVID risk, both for catching it and for bad outcomes if you do catch it. And into this environment, we have this, the American Medical Association. Because protecting the feelings of morbidly obese people is apparently more important than actually protecting their health. Like that's what they're doing. That's what they are saying. You morbidly obese people, we don't care about you. We're going to care about your feelings for the next 5 minutes, but the fact that you are very likely to die earlier than you might and to more likely to catch the disease that everyone is focused on to the exclusion of everything else in the world in some cases, that's actually not our job. Well, it turns out, no. Wrong. The AMA, the American Medical Association, it's your job to care about people's health, not their feelings at the moment. And frankly, if people's feelings are hurt by being told that being morbidly obese is unhealthy for them, then they need to get their feelings in order. This is insane. This is completely insane. And here's a quote from the article. Don't show my screen here, Zach, but words matter, said Philip Alberti, PhD, founding director of the AAMC Center for Health Justice, stated, echoing Harman's remarks, quote, they matter because they have the power to perpetuate or to dismantle structural racism, to empower a person or to marginalize them, to reinforce a harmful traditional narrative or to provide an alternative one. Words matter. You know what else matters? People's actual health. These frickin' doctors and now the AMA are declaring that words are more important than actual health. They've gone full bastardization of postmodernism here, and they've decided that actually their mission, the core mission of doctors, the reason we have health professionals, doesn't matter. That's not what they're doing anymore. They are not engaged in actually caring about people's health. They are engaged in semantic games to what end? To keep their jobs, to keep their funding? Who knows? Who knows? But clearly, whatever is causing this is the thing that is causing people to get sick and to die. Yes,
and it is causing all sorts of systems that are fundamental to the functioning of society are being disrupted for some higher purpose that we have not been told about. And one of them is the doctor-patient relationship, the obligation of medical science to patients. And something has subordinated that. So your doctor is no longer allowed through a well-established mechanism to instruct your pharmacist to dispense a compound because your doctor thinks it would be good for you. Now somebody is deciding to overrule your doctor on the basis of we don't know what, with a one-size-fits-all solution that we know doesn't work.
That medical degree has prescribing privileges, except when it doesn't.
Except when it doesn't, right. And, this will all not make sense to you as long as you stay in your lane. If you get out of your lane, you will recognize that something that has not been shared with us is driving this, and it is disrupting everything, including your relationship with your doctor, which has a whole lot to do with your health. Yes. And, if you didn't want a doctor to be honest with you, you could probably pick a different doctor. But the idea that no doctor is going to be permitted to share with you the information. I mean, look, obesity has an interaction with vitamin D. Right? It blocks vitamin D production. So the point is, one piece of information that a doctor who was liberated to say the truth to you might say is, by the way, given your weight, you may want to be extra careful to supplement with vitamin D because even under optimal circumstances, you would have a hard time producing enough, right? That's medical advice. And it's not medical advice coming from me. That's medical advice coming from the literature, right? And the point is, if
it's
your doctor...
not actually fat shaming to try to keep people healthy.
Right. Your doctor, because you're a smoker, X, right? Like that is a construction. It's not, the doctor's not recommending that you smoke. The doctor is saying because X, then something else. And
because you're a woman, you're at risk of getting pregnant if you are sexually active. Oh, wow. Are you pregnancy shaming me?
Right. Because you are a woman is now even problematic. And so why we're listening to,
Precisely. So I will say, there are a lot of these now, but there is one little ray of hope here. And I was directed to this on Twitter. Zach, you may show my screen again. Here is the Florida Health, I don't know, agency, authority, something, with their Healthier You website. And to optimize your health, they recommend, quote, "This is a resource for Floridians of all ages to get active, go outside, improve nutrition, including vitamin D intake, or learn about COVID-19. Well, I never. My goodness. Create healthy habits, they suggest. Small changes in mind, focus on one or two, like what you eat or drink. Get active. Start a walking program. Aim for a variety of physical activities every week. Nourish yourself, add healthy fats, all of these things. People with healthy eating habits live longer and are at a lower risk for serious health problems such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and obesity." This sounds like basic, like really fundamental, nothing surprising here, medical advice that the state of Florida is actually giving to people. And one of the comments in the tweet that this came from said, "Florida gives me hope, something I never expected to say." And I resonate with that. I feel like, okay, Florida, you keep going because, among other things, Florida is actually far enough south and does have enough sun in the winter that actually being outside and being active will likely allow you to make the vitamin D that you need, assuming that all of the other factors are also in your favor. And it might just be sufficient.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question, and it's an interesting week for that question, as the governor of Florida announced this week that he was interested in assembling something like a state militia, which was then
this I didn't know.
Instantly
DeSantis.
Dismissed by the Twitterati as him wanting a Gestapo, which I thought was an amazing leap.
Yes, quite a leap. Yep.
Quite a leap. But in any case, there's something interesting going on. And I must say, there are a number of topics on which the current blue insanity is revealing things about arguments on the other side. For one thing, I'm having, for the first time in my adult life, serious doubts about the idea that single-payer healthcare would be a good idea, not because single-payer healthcare wouldn't be a good idea under good governance. Mm-hmm. But what I did not appreciate before was that under toxic governance, it could be a disaster.
Right.
So anyway, I'm going to have to do some rethinking. This is a point
presumably many conservatives have been yelling about for years.
Well, but again, I don't think the conservatives are right about this. It's not that single payer is bad. It's that it is contingent on good governance for it to be positive, and it could be deeply negative in the other circumstances.
Well, so, almost everything over in regulation or,
Yep.
mass services is contingent on good governance. And I think that, every thinking liberal, and yes, many of us are out here, knows that, but the degree to which good governance is actually extraordinarily fragile and not as present as we thought it was is the thing I think that you and I are still continue to be surprised by at this moment.
Yeah, which is funny because in many ways, the idea that captured government is the problem, that, our students were too young to remember government that functioned at all. And so they have the sense that government is synonymous with malignant government. This is not a new topic for us, but it is interesting to see, that all sorts of things like, I never thought the idea of well-regulated militia was going to make sense to me. I always thought that was going to be some weird anachronism, that I was always going to be a little annoyed at the founding fathers for. And, it turns out, no, I'm now understanding that what they were concerned about was centralized tyranny.
Yep.
And, it is interesting. It is interesting to see that this extraordinary moment is revealing things about previous arguments that I didn't know.